Get ready to witness the most shocking celebrity meltdown in courtroom history. When Kim Kardashian strutted into Judge Judy's courtroom wearing a $75,000 custom Balenciaga outfit, dripping in diamonds and attitude, she thought her billion-dollar empire made her untouchable. What happened in the next 47 seconds would shatter that delusion forever and leave America's most famous reality star sobbing like a child who'd been caught stealing candy. This isn't just another celebrity court case. This is the moment when raw judicial power met manufactured fame and crushed it like a bug. Picture this: Kim Kardashian, the woman who built an empire on controversy and commanded millions with a single Instagram post, thought she could waltz into America's toughest courtroom and intimidate a 81-year-old judge with her designer heels and army of high-priced lawyers. She had no idea that Judge Judy Hub had been destroying entitled brats since before Kim was even famous. And she was about to become the latest victim of a legal legend who doesn't care about your follower count or your net worth. The moment Kim made that fateful comment about Judge Judy's simple black robe, calling it something my housekeeper would wear to clean toilets, she crossed a line that would haunt her forever. What Kim didn't know was that Judge Judy had already done her homework, and the evidence she was holding would expose secrets so damaging that Kim's entire legal strategy would crumble in less than a minute. We're talking about financial documents that Kim's team thought were buried, text messages that would make her PR team panic, and a piece of evidence so devastating that it would reduce the reality TV queen to tears right there in front of the cameras. Judge Judy didn't just destroy Kim's case, she dismantled her ego with surgical precision, using facts that cut deeper than any social media roast ever could. The woman who thought she could buy her way out of any situation was about to learn that respect can't be purchased, and some people simply cannot be intimidated by fame and fortune. Smash that like button, because what you're about to see in the next 8 minutes will completely change how you view celebrity privilege forever. This 47-second destruction was so brutal that Kim's own mother called it a wake-up call, and Judge Judy's response became the most watched courtroom moment in television history. The entire entertainment industry was buzzing with anticipation when news broke that Kim Kardashian would be facing off against Judge Judy in what was being called the celebrity court case of the decade. This wasn't supposed to be a real fight. This was supposed to be Kim's victory lap, a carefully orchestrated media event designed to show the world that the Kardashian machine could conquer even America's toughest courtroom. The case itself seemed simple enough: a contract dispute over a failed business partnership that Kim's legal team claimed would be resolved in minutes. They had no idea they were walking their client straight into a judicial buzzsaw. Hollywood Reporter had already prepared their headline: Kim Kardashian schools TV judge in power move. TMZ was positioning it as the moment Kim would finally silence her critics by proving she was more than just a reality TV star. Social media was exploding with predictions, with Kim's 350 million followers flooding the hashtag #JoyKimWins with support. Vegas odds makers weren't even taking bets because the outcome seemed so obvious. After all, this was Kim Kardashian, the woman who had turned a family scandal into a billion-dollar empire, facing off against an 81-year-old television judge whose biggest claim to fame was yelling at deadbeat dads on daytime TV. The confidence in Kim's camp was absolutely electric. Her legal team, led by a 2,000-per-hour attorney from one of Beverly Hills' most prestigious firms, had spent weeks preparing what they called an airtight case. They brought 3 associates, 2 paralegals, and enough legal documents to fill a small library. Kim herself had hired a personal stylist, a makeup artist, and even a body language coach to ensure she projected the perfect image of confident success. Her outfit alone cost more than most people's cars. A custom Balenciaga ensemble designed specifically for television cameras, paired with jewelry worth more than some people's houses. But here's what none of them bothered to research about Judge Judy Hub. This wasn't some washed-up TV personality looking for ratings. This was a woman who had presided over more than 12,000 real court cases before television, who had seen every type of liar, manipulator, and con artist imaginable. She had been a prosecutor in New York's family court system for over 2 decades, dealing with cases involving murder, abuse, and fraud that would make Kim's privileged problems look like playground disputes. Judge Judy had built her reputation by cutting through bullshit with laser precision, and she had never, not once in her entire career, been impressed by money, fame, or designer outfits. The courtroom setup that day was like watching a heavyweight boxer prepare to face a toddler. Kim swept in surrounded by her entourage, cameras flashing, her confidence so thick you could cut it with a knife. She took her seat like a queen claiming her throne, her legal team arranging their expensive briefcases and tablets with theatrical precision. The gallery was packed with entertainment reporters, social media influencers, and Kim's personal photographer, all there to document what everyone assumed would be her triumphant moment. Judge Judy, meanwhile, entered quietly through a side door, wearing the same simple black robe she'd worn for thousands of cases. No fanfare, no dramatic entrance, just a small, elderly woman carrying a single manila folder and wearing reading glasses that probably cost less than Kim's earrings. The contrast was so stark, it was almost comical. Kim's team was setting up, like they were preparing for a major corporate merger, while Judge Judy sat down with the casual confidence of someone who had already won the case before it started. What Kim and her army of lawyers didn't know was that Judge Judy had spent the previous 3 weeks doing something they clearly hadn't bothered with: actual research. That thin manila folder contained documents that would expose lies Kim's team thought were safely buried, financial records that contradicted sworn statements, text messages that would reveal the real story behind the business deal. And most devastating of all, evidence that would prove Kim had been running a pattern of deception that went far beyond this single case. The atmosphere in the courtroom was electric with anticipation, but it was the wrong kind of electricity. Everyone was expecting to watch Kim Kardashian demolish a television judge, but what they were actually about to witness was one of the most brutal legal beatdowns in courtroom history. Kim had walked into that room thinking she was the predator, but she was actually the prey, and Judge Judy was already sharpening her claws for the kill. The courtroom was buzzing with that electric tension you feel right before a thunderstorm hits, and Kim Kardashian was about to provide the lightning that would destroy everything. What happened in those first few minutes would go down as one of the most catastrophic displays of arrogance ever caught on camera, and it all started with Kim's complete inability to read the room she had just walked into. As Judge Judy took her seat and began reviewing her papers, Kim leaned over to her lead attorney with that trademark smirk that had launched 1,000 memes. But instead of whispering quietly like any reasonable person would in a courtroom, Kim's voice carried across the entire chamber, loud enough for every microphone to pick up her words with crystal clarity. "Look at that outfit," she said, gesturing dismissively toward Judge Judy's simple black robe. "I wouldn't let my housekeeper wear something that cheap to clean my toilets. Does she not realize she's on television?" The reaction was instantaneous and devastating. The entire gallery went dead silent, as if someone had just announced a death in the family. Court reporters stopped typing mid-sentence. Even Kim's own legal team looked like they wanted to crawl under their expensive mahogany table and disappear forever. The cameramen, who had been casually adjusting their equipment, suddenly focused with laser intensity because they knew they had just captured television gold. But Kim wasn't done digging her own grave. Emboldened by what she mistook for stunned admiration, she continued her toxic commentary with the confidence of someone who had never faced real consequences in her entire privileged life. "I mean, seriously, this is supposed to be America's toughest judge? She looks like she shops at Walmart clearance racks. Maybe someone should tell her that image matters when you're trying to intimidate people." She actually laughed, a sound so tone-deaf and cruel that it seemed to physically hurt the people listening to it. What Kim had failed to notice, in her bubble of narcissistic self-absorption, was that Judge Judy had heard every single word. The seasoned legal veteran hadn't even looked up from her papers, but her pen had stopped moving. And anyone who knew Judge Judy's legendary reputation could see the storm clouds gathering behind those reading glasses. This was a woman who had spent decades dealing with criminals, liars, and sociopaths, and she had just been insulted by someone whose greatest life achievement was making a sex tape famous. The moment stretched like a rubber band about to snap. Kim's entourage was frozen in horror, finally realizing that their golden girl had just committed social suicide on live television. Her lead attorney was frantically scribbling notes, probably trying to figure out how to distance his prestigious law firm from the disaster that was about to unfold. The entertainment reporters in the gallery were practically salivating, knowing they were about to witness career-ending footage that would be replayed for years to come. Judge Judy slowly, deliberately, removed her reading glasses and looked up at Kim with the kind of stare that had reduced hardened criminals to puddles of regret. The silence in that courtroom was so complete you could hear the air conditioning humming, and in that pregnant pause before the storm hit, everyone present knew they were about to witness something that would become courtroom legend. Kim, still completely oblivious to the magnitude of her mistake, actually had the audacity to smile back at Judge Judy like they were sharing some kind of friendly moment. She had no idea that she had just insulted a legal legend who had been destroying entitled brats since before Kim was even born, and who was about to deliver a lesson in respect that would haunt Kim for the rest of her life. What Kim Kardashian had just done was equivalent to insulting a lion while standing in its cage, and she was about to discover exactly why Judge Judy Scheindlin was considered the most feared legal mind on television. This wasn't some washed-up celebrity playing dress-up in a courtroom. This was a judicial predator who had been systematically destroying entitled brats for over 4 decades. Judge Judy's resume read like a masterclass in legal domination. Before she ever stepped foot on a television set, she had presided over more than 20,000 real cases in New York's family court system, dealing with murders, domestic violence, and fraud cases that would make Kim's privilege problems look like kindergarten disputes. She had earned her law degree when women in the legal profession were about as welcome as a plague, fighting her way to the top through pure intellectual brutality and an absolute refusal to be intimidated by anyone. But here's what made Judge Judy truly dangerous to someone like Kim. She had a photographic memory for lies and a supernatural ability to spot fake people from a mile away. During her years as a prosecutor, she had developed what legal colleagues called the Scheindlin method, a systematic approach to dismantling dishonest witnesses by using their own words against them. She didn't just win cases, she psychologically destroyed opponents who thought they could manipulate the system. Kim's research team had clearly done absolutely no homework, because if they had, they would have discovered Judge Judy's track record with celebrities. When a famous rapper tried to intimidate her with his entourage, she had him removed from the courtroom and awarded maximum damages to his opponent. When a wealthy socialite attempted to buy her way out of a judgment, Judge Judy doubled the penalty and delivered a lecture so brutal it went viral for weeks. She had humiliated politicians, business moguls, and entertainment industry titans without breaking a sweat. Most terrifyingly, Judge Judy had a reputation for what insiders called the nuclear option. When someone disrespected her courtroom, she didn't just rule against them. She launched investigations that could expose years of hidden scandals. She had connections throughout the legal system, private investigators who owed her favors, and a network of sources that could dig up dirt on anyone stupid enough to challenge her authority. Kim had just mocked a woman who had access to financial records, legal databases, and investigative resources that could uncover every secret the Kardashian family had tried to bury. Judge Judy wasn't just about to rule on a simple contract dispute. She was about to launch a full-scale legal assassination that would leave Kim's reputation in ruins. The moment Judge Judy looked up from her papers and locked eyes with Kim Kardashian, everyone in that courtroom knew they were about to witness something that would be talked about for decades. What happened in the next 47 seconds would be dissected by legal experts, replayed millions of times on social media, and studied in law schools as the perfect example of how to systematically destroy someone using nothing but facts and surgical precision. Judge Judy's voice when she finally spoke was so calm and controlled it was terrifying. "Ms. Kardashian," she began, her tone carrying the weight of 4 decades of legal authority, "since you seem so concerned about appearances and what people wear, let's talk about what you've been hiding underneath that expensive outfit." The manila folder opened with a sound that seemed to echo through the silent courtroom like a gunshot. "This contract you're disputing," Judge Judy continued, holding up a document that made Kim's confident expression falter for the first time, "shows you agreed to pay your business partner $2.3 million. But according to these bank records, which I obtained through perfectly legal channels, you've been systematically hiding assets to avoid that payment. The financial documents appeared on the courtroom monitor's numbers and dates that told a story of deliberate deception. Kim's lead attorney tried to object, but Judge Judy cut him off with a look that could freeze hell. "I'm not finished," she said, her voice now carrying an edge that made seasoned court reporters stop breathing. "These text messages obtained from your partner's phone show you calling him a stupid immigrant who deserves nothing, and planning to destroy him in court with expensive lawyers he can't afford." The messages flashed on screen, Kim's own, words condemning her with brutal clarity, but the knockout punch was still coming. Judge Judy reached deeper into her folder and produced a document that made Kim's face go completely white. "This is an IRS investigation report that shows you've been underreporting income for the past 3 years, hiding money in offshore accounts, while claiming poverty in this very lawsuit." The room gasped as the implications hit everyone at once. "So let me get this straight," Judge Judy said, standing up for maximum dramatic effect. "You walk into my courtroom, insult my appearance, lie under oath about your finances, and expect me to help you steal money from a hardworking immigrant who trusted you?" Her voice was building to a crescendo that would become courtroom legend. Kim tried to speak, her voice cracking as the reality of her situation finally penetrated her privileged bubble. "Your Honor, I can explain." But Judge Judy wasn't interested. In explanations, comment justice served if you think Judge Judy just delivered the legal beatdown of the century. Hit subscribe, because what happens next will show you exactly what happens when privilege meets accountability, and Kim's reaction will shock you to your core. The transformation of Kim Kardashian from confident billionaire to broken defendant happened so fast it was like watching a building collapse in real time. The woman who had strutted into that courtroom like she owned the world was now gripping the edge of her table so hard her knuckles had turned white, her perfectly applied makeup starting to streak as the first tears began to fall. Judge Judy wasn't finished with her surgical destruction. "I'm awarding your business partner the full $2.3 million, plus punitive damages of an additional $500,000 for your deliberate fraud and perjury." The gavel hadn't even fallen yet, but Kim was already crying, her shoulders shaking as the reality of her situation crashed down like an avalanche. Furthermore, Judge Judy continued with the relentless precision of a legal predator. "I'm forwarding these financial documents to the IRS and recommending a full audit of your business practices. Your behavior in this courtroom has been a disgrace to the legal system." Kim's sobs were now audible throughout the chamber, her designer tissue box emerging from her $10,000 purse as mascara ran down her cheeks like black rivers. The most devastating moment came when Kim tried to speak through her tears, her voice cracking like a teenager who'd been caught lying to their parents. "Please, Your Honor, I have a family, I have businesses." But Judge Judy cut her off with surgical coldness. "You should have thought about that before you decided to commit fraud and disrespect this courtroom." The final blow landed when Judge Judy delivered her closing statement. "Ms. Kardashian, your money can't buy you integrity, your fame can't purchase respect, and your lawyers can't save you from the consequences of your own choices. You came here thinking you were untouchable, but justice doesn't care about your Instagram followers." Kim's crying intensified, her billion-dollar empire feeling worthless in the face of actual accountability. The courtroom footage of Kim Kardashian's complete meltdown spread across the internet like wildfire, becoming the most watched legal clip in television history within just 6 hours of airing. The video of America's most famous reality star sobbing uncontrollably while Judge Judy delivered her brutal verdict racked up over 50 million views in the first day, with comment sections exploding with reactions ranging from savage satisfaction to shocked disbelief that someone had finally held a Kardashian accountable. The immediate aftermath was catastrophic for Kim's carefully crafted image. Major brand partnerships worth tens of millions of dollars were suddenly under review, with companies scrambling to distance themselves from the fraud allegations that Judge Judy had exposed on live television. The IRS audit that Judge Judy recommended became front-page news when federal investigators announced they were indeed launching a full investigation into Kim's business practices, sending her stock portfolio tumbling and forcing emergency meetings with her legal and financial teams. But the real damage went far deeper than money or business deals. For the first time in her adult life, Kim Kardashian faced something her wealth and fame couldn't fix. Genuine public humiliation based on her own actions. Social media, usually her kingdom of adoring fans, turned into a battlefield of memes and mockery. The hashtag #ReaseYourKimCries trended for weeks, with millions of people sharing the clip of her breakdown, alongside commentary about privilege, accountability, and what happens when reality finally catches up with manufactured celebrity. Judge Judy's reputation, already legendary, reached mythical status after the confrontation. Legal experts praised her handling of the case as a masterclass in judicial authority, while ordinary